Checo Perez is failing. That's what Martin Brundle said during one of the practice sessions. He said if Max was winning, Checo should be second. If Max was third, Checo should be fourth. If Max dropped out, Checo should be finishing in the position that Max finished in. And he's not. He's way behind. And he's still way behind. Yeah, in Hungary, he did well. He went from 16th to 7th. But that's not good enough because he shouldn't have been in 16th to start with. He should have been qualifying 4th or 5th, not where he qualified by crashing out. So, yeah, I think Checo's done unless he really pulls it out of the park in Spa. He is completely done. And it's not looking good because I watched practice 1, I watched practice 2. I thought, oh no, here we go. Practice 1, it looked like Red Bull was going to be super dominant. But Checo wasn't. I think Checo finished about 5th or something. And then practice 2, McLaren obviously turned the wick up and now they're sitting pretty. But Checo's a full second behind Max. A second in Formula One this year, in which the whole grid was normally less than a second apart. He's a full second behind Max. That's not good enough. And yeah, I have no qualm about Checo being a nice guy. He's been a great driver. He's done really well in his career. But I think he's tired. He's just done. There's something missing. He hasn't got the spark anymore. He is done. I hate to say it, but Brundle's right again when he said he doesn't like this new touchy-feely F1. Basically, he's saying if you don't measure up, you're out. And I think that's where Checo is now. Checo needs to go. If you think I'm wrong, let me know. Yeah, I think Checo's had his day, and it'll be sad to see the back of him, but there's young guys out there like Lawson, Hajar, they're desperate, they're champing at the bit, and they're not going to get a shot unless we start moving along. So Max is taking a new engine, 10th-place grid penalty. That's good. It's good. It's good for us because we don't want to see him romping off into the distance from the very start of the race. Because even if he qualified third, there's a good chance he could be first by the end of the first lap. You really don't want to be on pole here, or you don't want to be in the lead going around that first corner, because by the time you get to Lecombe, you're going to be overtaken. So, yeah, you probably don't want to be on pole here. Second or third is a great position to be in. So it'd be interesting to see what happens, because I think there's a good chance the McLarens are going to be fighting out for the pole. Max, as you know, will be 10 places behind. Today he was third in practice 2. So that would put him, 13th? So we'll see what happens. But it's going to be interesting either way. Hamilton looking all right. Russell was looking better. The Ferraris are looking fastish again. So, yeah, it could be good. Aston Martin. Let's talk about Aston Martin in the last time out, because what Lando let happen, i.e. let Oscar by to take the win, Stroll didn't. Despite team orders and the fact he was supposed to, he didn't let Alonso pass to take the last points-paying position. He took it himself. And I don't think you really want to be crossing Fernando Alonso like that. I might be wrong, but Alonso's not going to say anything in public because it's daddy's boy after all. But yeah, Stroll's another one that needs to go. Someone who races with such little enthusiasm. I mean, he's such a drip. He can't be bothered talking to people. Why is he even there? Go and play tennis, Lance. Give us all a break. Let Tsunoda into that team. Tsunoda and Alonso would be great in that team. I think it'd be fantastic. And I think that's where Tsunoda should go, because it's going to be Honda in 2026. Well, it's going to be Aston Martin with a Honda engine, but it's going to be Honda, and Yuki's a Honda driver, so get him in the team. Yeah, and it'll give us all a fresh start, and the team will do better, because I think Lance brings that team down. I really don't think he adds anything to it at all. Red Bull themselves, they're still not looking very happy though, are they, as a team? And I think the whole Jos Verstappen, Max Verstappen, Christian Horner, Adrian Newey thing, it's all played out now, and it's all like, everybody's fed up. I think Max needs to move on. And I think there's a good chance that he'll go to Mercedes at some point, possibly even 2025, because Toto's just keeping that seat open, waiting. He's waiting on Max to jump into that seat for 2025. He doesn't want Sainz. He doesn't really want Antonelli yet. He wants Max in that seat. And George Russell's sitting there going, don't get Max in the Mercedes. Don't get Max in the Mercedes. Because, for all Max's faults, you put him in the same car as Russell and he's gonna stomp all over him. And I'm not saying anything against George, but Max is in a different caliber from George. Just one of these things. Danny Rick, is he going to replace Checo? All signs say yes at this point in time. Unless Checo does an outstanding Spa and Danny Rick does an awful one, I think Danny Rick's going to replace Checo. And that's me. Because you don't want a young gun sitting beside Max. You don't want Tsunoda. You don't want Lawson. You don't want Hajar. You don't want any of these guys sitting beside Max because they've got too much to prove. Danny Rick's not got anything to prove. We know Danny Rick can do it to a degree, but he's another, and I hate to say it, but he's another David Coulthard. He's mediocre and best of the rest. He's never going to be a world champion. So Danny Rick just wants to seize time out at a good team, and if he could go out on Red Bull, I think he'd be doing well. So what's Lando going to do now? Because Zach had a bit of an interview, and he indicated that if Lando had let Oscar pass the early doors, around about what it would have been like lap 50 or something, when they all pitted, then he was free to race him. So that would have been interesting if Lando had done that. But I don't think you'll see Lando getting caught out like he's been caught out this time. It's not going to happen again. He's gonna have learned from that because he's a smart little cookie, and he'll be on the ball. And I think Lando's got the beating of Piastri at this point in time. So he's not going to take it again. He's not going to do that. He's going to beat him. Yeah. Audi, big steps there. Firing Seidel and bringing back Binotto, Mattia Binotto, who, let's be honest, didn't exactly set the heather on fire at Ferrari, did he? Did Ferrari win a championship? No, they haven't, not yet. So I'm not quite sure. Well, I think I do know why they brought Binotto back, because they don't want to go down the German Teutonic route. They don't want to be spreadsheets. No flair, nothing. Spreadsheets, the data says this, the data says that. They don't want that. And I think it was going down that route. They had too many people from Audi, and it was going to go all corporate Audi. And you can't run an F1 team like that. Because, you've got to take cognizance of the data, but you need flair, you need innovation, and you need the ability to think on your feet. And I think maybe Binotto will bring a bit of that in there. Because let's face it, Sauber wasn't performing, and Andreas was there to make it perform, and they did. So no rain today. Supposed to be rain tomorrow for practice 3, possibly qualifying. Qualifying should be wet. That's great. I love a wet qualifying. In fact, like I said in a couple of other episodes, should we install sprinkler systems? Because nothing mixes it up more than rain, and rain round Spa can be incredible because it can be raining at one part of the circuit and not at another. And if you get caught, if you get caught in the wrong place in Spa, it can take ages. It can take over 2.5 minutes to get back to the pits if the weather's bad. So could be really interesting, but it's meant to be a dry race. So let's mix it up as much as we possibly can in qualifying, and hope that we have an interesting race and it just doesn't turn into procession. You can overtake at Spa. It's been done a number of times. It was 47 overtakes last year. So let's see what happens this year. I'm looking forward to it. And then we've got the summer break. And the summer break, it's 3 weeks. It's not that big a deal, is it? Is it 3 weeks or is it a month? Yeah, well, it's 3.5 weeks. It'll be okay. We'll get through it. It's not as bad as a winter break. And even then, that's compressed now because the season's so big. 24 races this year. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. See you on the other side.